There's been a lot in the news recently about tariffs. HSS is here to help it make sense with Dr. Sam Stone from Public Administration. Can you start by telling me what a tariff even is?
A tariff is a tax on imports. So anything coming into the country, it's a tax on.
What are the primary reasons governments impose tariffs?
The primary purpose of any tax is to produce revenue to pay for public programs and public services. All the other stuff is secondary. So there are secondary purposes to tariffs, and that's to protect domestic industries. Um, Tariffs used to be a lot more popular and used in the early days of the republic.
I'm in my comfort zone. Early
Okay.
America.
Um, in fact, tariffs and excise taxes on alcohol funded nearly all of federal government operations for a large part of our history. It wasn't until much later, with the introduction of the income tax, that they kind of became a much more ancillary revenue source.
Okay, good. So I will let you know. My husband's like, because he's an early Americanist too. He's like, if anybody does not tell, like, make sure somebody says that, because if somebody does not mention that used to be the major form of like revenue building, they don't know what they're talking about. So you did it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. So it sounds like at one point in time in American history, tariffs were the norm of generating revenue. Now, though, there's some risks involved. Can you talk us through some of the risks?
The primary one is retaliatory tariffs that other countries would impose on goods coming from us, thereby doing a lot of damage or shutting down our own export market. The next one is raising the prices of all the goods coming into the country from all of these other places. And anything that gets produced from these goods coming in raises the prices of everything else those goods are used in, even if those aren't final consumer products.
Are there other risks?
Yeah, if the logic or rationale of a tariff is to protect domestic industries, by imposing tariffs on everything coming from an entire country, we are essentially taxing all these other things that U.S. companies might not produce in large quantities, or might not produce in the first place, or we might not even want our companies producing, again, because of the effects it might have on the environment, or if we kind of see ourselves going in another direction industrially, or because, if we're talking about produce, for example, there might be things that we simply just don't grow in the United States and don't have the ability to grow because of our climate. So imposing blanket tariffs based on country can have all sorts of unintended consequences that also don't actually help any U.S. industries.
Good. What are some other alternative things besides tariffs that a government could use to protect, uplift domestic industries?
If we're really interested in promoting very specific industries, then the best and most direct way to do that is spending that directly affects those industries. That could be on infrastructure that they need to conduct their business, like transportation infrastructure or IT infrastructure. It could be through workforce training, and it could be through helping people move to locations within the country that better suit some of those industries.
How could businesses adjust to react to hardships imposed by tariffs?
The Probably the biggest adjustment that happens is they try to find alternate sources for the materials that they need from countries that don't have the tariffs imposed on them, or they try to find ways to build things or make things without those particular kinds of products.
Mhm.
But there's also weird ways that companies will adapt to tariffs by finding loopholes around them. There was kind of a famous or infamous one. I think it was back in the 1960s or 70s when there were very, very high tariffs imposed on imported trucks and vans. And car dealers in the U.S. found a way around that by importing um, uh, uh, trucks and vans that were not 100% assembled. So the bed of the truck was imported separately from the rest of the truck. The dealership would take 5 minutes to bolt it on, and the 25% tariff went down to a 4% tariff because it was the rate was different on parts than it was on a fully assembled vehicle.
Yeah. Is the only way to impose a tariff to impose it on a country?
No. In fact, for most of our history, tariffs were based on the good that was being imported as opposed to the type of country. And mostly what we've done is we've kind of carved out countries from the tariff, making through free trade agreements with particular countries. So everyone else is has like an 8% tariff rate applied to imported shoes, but if they're coming from Australia and New Zealand, then it's zero. So the countries are listed as being exempted from it. Um, but now the policy is almost the other way around.
But is that, like, legit question? Is the reason that we moved to a country-based tariff system in order to accommodate these treaties, or why that shift?
You mean to the current policy?
Yeah.
That is a question for the Trump administration.
Okay. Fair enough. If people want to learn more from you, what do you teach?
I teach Public Budgeting and Finance 1 and Public Budgeting and Finance 2 for our MPA program.
Thank you.